and I'm here to let you know that Stephen King's It is no perfect movie. So It takes place in the summer of 1988, and it revolves around a group of outsiders who call themselves the Losers Club. And they're played by Jaden Lieberher, Sophia Lillis, Finn Wolfhard, Jeremy Ray Taylor, Wyatt Olaf, Chosen Jacobs, and Jack Dylan Grazer. And these kids all have one thing in common. They're all being haunted by this one being who preys on the fears and phobias of everyday people. And they call this being It, played by Bill Skarsgård. And in order to defeat It, they have to be able to work together and face their own individual fears in the process. Andy Muschietti's direction in this movie is fantastic. He knows where and how to position the camera and get a creepy looking angle out of it in the process. He uses many long shots and overhead shots that make us question whether or not It is watching them. And there are many shots that transition from a standard to a Dutch angle in order to warn us that something bad is about to happen. And Benjamin Wallfisch's musical score builds up a lot of creepy moments. Whenever a character begins to investigate something that they find disturbing, the music slowly starts to begin, then it stops in order to build up suspense, and then it starts again, and it repeats this pattern over and over in order to keep us on the edge of our seats throughout the entire scene. And I love the way It is portrayed for the direction and Bill Skarsgård's really unsettling performance. Whenever It is introduced in a scene, he's always partially obscured by either shadows or bushes or something like that, and then he steps out to reveal himself, and every time he does, it makes it all the more scary. And we're never given his full backstory either, which leaves a lot of things up to the viewer's imagination, like why does he choose to masquerade as a clown? How does he devour his prey? Why does he prefer children as prey to begin with? And Pennywise was just so disturbing, and Bill Skarsgård gave such a good performance. It is true that some people are going to be bothered automatically because his makeup and costume do effectively look realistic as a clown. But to me, it was how sadistic his facial expressions and his body language looked that made him hard to watch sometimes. And again, because we don't know that much about him, we can't predict what he's going to be able to do next. When kids see a clown, it's easy to see why they would be afraid. Kids are used to seeing human beings in a particular way, so things like pale skin, strangely colored hair, or bigger limbs like a nose and feet is easily going to frighten them. But as adults, we know these things aren't really what they look like, so how come we're afraid of clowns too? I think it stems from the fact that regardless of how innocent and childish clowns appear to be, at the end of the day, they're strangers to us, just like It is a stranger to the main kids. When we see a clown giggle and act like a kid in front of our own, we either see that as being innocent and childish, or we see the makeup and the costume more as a disguise, and the act is just a way to get closer to our kids. And because kids are so innocent, we're much more protective of them. John Wayne Gacy, a serial killer who killed at least 33 victims, dressed up as a clown for volunteer projects long before he started his killing spree. So it's easy to see why people have this public perception that clowns aren't really all that they appear to be. We want to see them as these innocent beings, but It, in this movie, is basically a symbol of the fact that clowns are no longer innocent in our minds. What makes the Losers Club so engaging is the fact that each of them have individual fears that we can relate to as an audience, and just like It, they each go for a progression of losing their innocence throughout the entire movie, but in a different way, where they have to be able to face their fears and be willing to do just about anything in order to survive. Jaden Lieberher easily has the most emotional arc in the movie, where his little brother was one of It's victims. And in his best scene, he explains that he'd rather go into It's lair than go home because he wants answers. He's not willing to let It kill another person's friend or family member, and he's willing to do anything in order to end this. And Sophia Lillis, in addition to being the strongest member of the club, she has her own problems where she has trouble admitting things about her womanhood. Something as simple as buying tampons, or something more complicated like dealing with someone who may have harmed her in the past. But it's her friendship with the boys and her being hunted down by It that at least pushes her to take a stand and cut ties with this one individual who may have abused her. Even Chosen Jacobs' character hates seeing animals being used as meat because he knows that they were killed for it. But he also knows that in order to defeat It, he has to be brave enough and willing enough in order to stand up and kill it. And that's another thing. At the end of the day, this movie is basically about a group of kids trying to kill what looks and appears to be an adult in order to survive. And this being, who looks and sounds just like an adult, is going after them so that he can survive too. I have two main issues with the movie. One is that immediately after a scary scene happens in the movie, it cuts right away to a more comedic, lighthearted moment where, for example, Finn Wolfhard makes these really creepy sex puns about another character's mother. Or it would cut to a rock montage of characters throwing rocks at some bullies. And these more lighthearted moments I was fine with because it made the characters more human and it wasn't just them moping around the whole time. But it still felt a little distracting because there was no segue in regards to editing. And the bullies in this movie, especially the main leader, these guys are so over the top for bullies. Like, take it for someone who has been bullied, this is not how it works. If they did the things that they did just once, they would be arrested. They wouldn't do this over and over again. And they try to give an excuse as to why they haven't been caught yet, but I didn't buy into it. It really didn't solve anything. There are some narrative flaws in regards to balancing out tone, and there are a couple of exaggerated characters, but Andy Muschietti's top-notch direction, Chun Hun Chun's beautiful cinematography, Ben Wallfish's haunting score, and the performances by the main cast make it an investing, multi-layered, and really intense horror movie. And for that reason, I'm going to give Stephen King's It a 4.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks for watching, and what did you think of Stephen King's It? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at noperfectmovie.com. And once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.